Hi, I'm Hannah Wallace and welcome to Finextra TV's Thought Leadership Series. Kindly calling into our virtual studio today is Scott Hardiman, Managing Director for Decision Software for Experian UK and Ireland. Hi Scott, thank you very much for calling in.
Hi Hannah, really great to be here today.
Good to have you on the show. So recently we've been covering a lot of stories around the impact of COVID-19 on the industry, and many have already pointed out that there have been some significant changes around technology, and that's really where I want to start today. Could you tell us a bit about how the technology has changed, but also why? Let's start there.
If I start with the why, I think in a word it's necessity. I think almost overnight we've had to go from a period where we were used to coming into the office every day, we were used to travelling to meet clients, to actually that not being a possibility. So we've had to use a lot of the technology that has perhaps been there and really rely on it to go about our daily business. Even something as fundamental as schooling our children, we've had to adapt to our children being at home, to using technology, to making that available to them and to delivering virtual lessons. In the world of business, what we've seen is that the talk around the digital transformation has now become not a nice to do that sits in a strategy plan that we may do in the next 5 years, to something we've got to do. It's something that's here, it's something that's now. So topics such as AI and ML, we've started to really see those being used across a whole raft of different industries. I'm sure we'll talk about client interactions, but that now is becoming key. And what we're starting to see is the use of technology, the use of AI and ML to make sure that we're driving frictionless digital journeys with our consumers and with our customers.
Mm-hmm. But it's fair to say the pandemic has obviously brought complexities for both businesses and their customers. So what I'd love to hear from you now is what role technology can play in minimising the impact of the pandemic and also maybe contributing to the economic growth strategies in place.
I think the key thing I'd say with the technology is it's all about understanding. So we've got to first ask ourselves different questions to the ones that we've asked ourselves in the past, because there is no playbook to work out what's going to happen in the future. So we need to start to think about those parts of society, those roles which will be impacted and have been impacted by the pandemic. I think once we've really understood those, we can use technology and particularly data to build hypotheses to predict what we think may happen in the future. And then from that, we can start to build business strategies, which means that we can make sure that we're making the right choices for those individuals and those businesses. And of course, from that, we can start to understand where we think growth will come from. So for me, I think it's all about understanding. It's about using technology and using data to answer a different set of questions that we've never had to in the past.
Mm-hmm. So with this comes a need for speed with regards to decision making, doesn't it? But what does this mean for adoption, and what does adoption look like?
Well, we've fundamentally had to change the way in which we build decisioning systems. So if I think about decisioning systems of old, we would have looked across an entire enterprise, we'd have looked at all of the component parts, we'd have looked at all of the different data assets that need to be combined together, and we would have built something which may have taken months and in some cases years to deploy. Actually, that's just not acceptable nowadays. We need to be able to deploy our systems much, much faster than ever before. So the way in which Experian are thinking about innovation is actually about driving adoption and driving the speed with which we can deploy systems. So the way in which I think about it is it's almost like an app store. We have a core decision engine, and then around that we have pieces of functionality that will be relevant to some businesses and maybe not relevant to others. By dropping in and out those apps or those core pieces of functionality, or indeed integration with different data sources, what we can do is deploy much faster than we ever have done, and also we can drive adoption, which really is the key. I think that's where we'll see the next step in innovation. I think it's less around functionality. It's more around how we can deploy technology much faster, that's much relevant, and therefore make much better quality decisions.
That's interesting, and a very good analogy there as well. But I'd like to end on talking a bit about customer insight and experience. How do you think firms can quickly enhance their approach to understanding and supporting these varying customers with their varying needs?
I think you've hit the nail on the head. We've all got different needs. And I think what we need to do is to use technology to almost tailor the interaction with clients and consumers. My needs will be different to yours. I like to make decisions probably in a different way to how you like to make decisions. So it's all about presenting the right decision at the point of need. For me, it starts with the data. We've got access to far more data than we've ever had before. That means that we have the information now to be able to present decisions and to be able to present a digital journey which is most relevant to you and most relevant to how you as an individual want to interact with an organisation. So I think customer insight is the holy grail. It is something that we're all striving to improve on in the business sector. But I think what we'll start to see is far more tailoring, whereby behaviour and how you interact with systems becomes as important as the information itself. So we have a very intuitive decision-making process which is most tailored to your needs.
Well, it sounds like Experian's working on some really interesting things, and I'm interested to see how the space develops further down the line. But for now, Scott, thank you so much for calling in and sharing your insights. It's been great. Thank you.
Great. Thanks, Hannah.